About 10 years or so ago, I went to this place, and it's a place that I didn't want to be in. It felt incredibly hard to get out of and felt very stuck in there. It was not, by the way, Westfield Mall. It was actually a place that you may have been to your own version of, a place that's called Rock Bottom. And my rock bottom was when I had a toddler and a baby, and it turns out postnatal depression. And I was sitting on the floor one day, back against the wall, baby and toddler upstairs crying, and this voice in my head, really loud and clear, the same voice that I had had for the last 6 months or so, and in fact the only kind of comfort that I was finding in this time, and it said, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to kill myself. And I hadn't told a soul how I was feeling, because I felt so ashamed that I was not coping. Here I was with 2 healthy children, a husband, a loving family, a house, food on my table. Who was I to say that I wasn't coping, that I was overwhelmed, and that I needed help? Because there were so many other people out there who needed help much more than me. And so the thought of even reaching out to all the resources available to us all when we have depression, anxiety, or any mental health issues, Lifeline, Black Dog Institute, Beyond Blue, there's also PANDA, Perinatal Anxiety and Depression Australia. I thought that I wasn't entitled to ask for help, and so I told nobody. And it was only that day when my husband came home and he grabbed my hands and he picked me up and he said to me in a very compassionate voice, and yet a voice of desperation, you know that you falling apart means this whole family is falling apart. Please go and get some help. And so, feeling like a total failure as a mother and as a person, I called my doctor, expecting her to tell me exactly what I've been telling myself. You got to get over it. Just get over it. Move on. Look how good you've got it. But instead, she told me that I had postnatal depression, which I never would have thought in the world I would have depression. I was always an incredibly positive person. I come from a family of very positive people. If the sky's grey, you find that little bit of blue and you never take the umbrella out because it's not going to rain. There's a sky over there. I also come from incredible stoic stock. My grandfather was a dairy farmer, and he'd be out with the cows and chop a finger off or be bitten by a snake and just keep going. You don't complain, you just get on with it. But when my doctor told me I had postnatal depression, she gave me treatment options, and she also said to me, you know when you get on a plane and they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first before assisting others, that's what you have to do. And so I got home knowing that I only had a few minutes before my family was going to charge through the door, and I sat on the end of my bed and thought, okay, oxygen mask, what could that possibly be? I am so sleep deprived. I don't have any time without my kids feeling like they were eating me alive. I had no energy, and I was in this headspace that doing anything kind of felt way too hard. Even just picking up some stuff off the floor just felt all way too overwhelming. But I knew there was a lot at stake here, and I was missing out on this time in my life where I had little kids. So I closed my eyes and thought, all right, what can I do? And that's when I thought, move. I need to move my body. Because I had stopped doing anything for myself. In fact, I thought that's what actually made you a good mother, to do everything for everyone else, to be selfless. But how was I going to exercise when I didn't have the time? I couldn't leave the house whenever I wanted to. I had no idea. But the next day, I put on an episode of Play School for my daughters, and I went to my kitchen bench. And I used to be a dancer. That was my profession. I danced my whole life. When I was at school, I used to get up an hour before I had to at high school and go down to my makeshift ballet studio in the open garage there with everyone driving past, staring in. I just didn't care. I loved to move my body. I loved to dance. And so I put my hands on my kitchen bench and thought, okay, this could be my ballet bar. So move, do something. And so I started doing some pliés, which is some little leg bends up and down, even though I really didn't feel like doing anything. And then I started just raising my leg up and down to the back. Then I ended up doing a few push-ups there at my kitchen bench. And it was only after a few minutes, and one of my girls called out to me because the other one was fighting her or something. And my first instinct was to go, oh, well, this is way too hard. Obviously, this whole exercise oxygen mask thing is not going to work for me. But there was something about that little moment that had this tiny little trigger in me and gave me this feeling that I hadn't felt for months and months. And that was this feeling of hope. That here was actually something, this tiny little thing that I could do. That none of the things I was telling myself, the excuses, the obstacles could get in the way of. I didn't need much time. I didn't need to be fit. I didn't need to leave the house. I didn't need any fancy equipment. This was this moment that I could take to move. And it felt good. I felt this connection to my body. It was just little, it wasn't this massive aha thing, it was just this little feeling, and that's all I needed to the next day bring me back to the kitchen bench, and the next day and the next. And that night of when I first did these little exercises, I was lying in bed thinking about this mindset that I had around what exercise had to be. And that mindset was something that was holding me back from exercising, from taking care of myself. I thought if I couldn't do what I used to be able to do, leave the house for an hour, do a hardcore boot camp class, run around the block for half an hour, whatever it was, then I couldn't do anything. If it couldn't look like my perfect idea of exercise, then what was the point? And when I started sharing these little workouts, it first happened when I had friends of friends who I knew weren't coping, who were struggling with their mental health, and so I started filming these little workouts and sharing it privately with them as perhaps a little thing that might help them in some little way. And then I started sharing them publicly, and that movement grew and led to the TV, the book, and being here in front of you now, being incredibly passionate about the power of exercise. And it's something now, as is often the case, I think, when you've been through something yourself, that you can't keep it to yourself. You need to share this message, because exercise isn't something that it's okay if it just goes down to the bottom of our to-do list. You only need to look at the major health organisation websites and you will see exercise right at the top there of their list. Heart disease, #1 killer in Australia. Around 24 women in Australia every day die of heart disease. And exercise helps reduce those heart disease risk factors like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, being obese or overweight. It also really helps your brain. And the leading brain researchers are telling us that it is the most transformative thing you can do for your brain, and one of the most important. Not only because of what it does to improve your productivity, your focus and your memory, but also when it comes to cognitive decline of your brain. And what happens is we've got the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, and when we exercise, particularly in a cardiovascular way, so you get your heart rate up a bit, this muscle actually gets stronger. So if you have an incurable brain disease coming your way, essentially what it does is buy you time. Exercise also lowers estrogen, which helps reduce the risk of cancers, particularly breast and ovarian. It also helps reduce cancer growth risk factors such as insulin. And I have a friend who went through breast cancer treatment, and when I asked her what her plans were for the year, she said, it's the year of my health. And when I asked her what that meant, she said, it's exercise. Every medical professional that she spoke to throughout her treatment said to her, exercise, exercise, exercise. It is the key to recovery and prevention. But she said to me, guess what? Still, after hearing that, I get to the end of the day and I haven't done it. I haven't fit it in, I haven't remembered to do it, I still can't find the motivation to do it. I don't know what to do. Because she, like so many of us, struggle making exercise a part of our lives. And the big number one thing Australians give for reasons for not exercising is the same thing that when I walk around the streets of Avalon and Bilgola, people kind of duck like I'm the exercise police and go, I really want to exercise but I don't have this thing. And it's the thing that essentially, and crazy enough, the thing that we don't find that to do is the thing it's going to give us more of, and that is time. Exercise can buy us more time and can give us a much better quality of time. So I said to this friend of mine, okay, tonight, when you are brushing your teeth, I want you to just take your legs out a little bit wider, turn your toes out, start brushing, and you're going to drop through there and lift up. And you're just going to do some squats. That's all you're going to do there. You're going to do it for 2 minutes because that's what the Australian Dental Association says to brush your teeth for. 2 minutes of these little type of moves. Every single night this week. Let's see what happens. And so she texted me at the end of the week. She said, I've been 2-minute moving all week. Feels so much more inspired. Now she's the full F45 fanatic. Could not do without exercise. She needed that little first step so that this whole exercise thing isn't so hard. The idea that it can fit into your day. I started discovering all these other ways that I could actually get more active and move my body more. So, when I was hanging out the washing, I did these with Jessica Rowe on Studio 10. Your full washing basket there, before you pop it down and hang out your washing, you can do a few little lifts up and down of your washing basket, right? If you are hanging out your washing, if you're able to squat, that's what you want to do, rather than we do this all the time. Yep, when you take a squat, it really activates your glute muscles, which get really weak, especially if we are sitting down a lot. Housework. Anyone turn housework into a bit of a workout? Yes? It's such a good thing to do. We sort of go along like this and we sweep the floor and go, this is the most boring thing in the world. I've already done this 20 times today. And it's actually possible to turn a bit of a sweep, a mop, a vacuum, a scrub into more an invigorating workout. So in terms of getting your heart rate up. So you're sweeping, you can do a bit of a, you know, side skip or something like that. What do you think of that? Are they good? Yeah. So housework. Then you do the one, get into a little habit of not needing any kind of equipment. Usually if you get dumbbells or something, they're often going to end up with cobwebs in the bottom of your cupboard somewhere. This is one of my favourite moves. If you've got a couple of wine bottles sitting in your cupboard on your kitchen bench. My mum does these every time she gets back from a walk. She has a couple of wine bottles sitting on her kitchen counter. And this idea of just doing some little arm strengthening moves of your wine bottles. Yeah, these are the ones like this. I did these with Carl Stefanovic actually on Today's Show, and he just spent the whole time doing this, stealing the shot from me. So little circles here, little circles there, in and out. Got all these type of moves in my book. And you might look at this and think, well, what is that going to do? What is that little moment of doing some wine bottles, a sweep, a squat, a brush of the teeth, inner thigh workout? What's that actually going to do? But you will find that all those little moments do actually add up to make a big difference. If you're out walking your dog and every time your dog stops to smell something or do a wee or something, you do 5 or 10 squats, at the end of the week, you'll look back and go, I've done 100 squats this week. If every night before you turn on your tap to do your washing up, you put your hands on your kitchen bench and just do 10 little push-ups, even if they're tiny little push-ups. Or if you can't do that sort of thing for your shoulders and wrists, picking up your wine bottles and doing that. At the end of the week, you will have done 50 push-ups. Every time you pass a park bench, when you're out walking, if you did little moves, like your dips, these type of ones, there, or if they don't work for you, even little moves like lifting up your knee, up and down like that. At the end of the week, you will see a difference in your strength, whatever part of your body you're working. And what it also does is takes away that, oh, it's all too hard, it's all too much. It takes away so many of the excuses that we give ourselves. So why do we need to even do all this sort of stuff? You know, I'm sure our ancestors weren't there brushing their teeth and doing squats like that. Well, they do this really great little exercise whenever, you know, you'd go into the school and for your parents' work, what they do, explain it. And so I talked to my girls' class about exercise and to explain why we actually need to add all this exercise into our life, why we need to go to the gym or do a class or do your home workouts. I get them all to lie down on the floor and close their eyes and pretend they've gone back into the olden days, they like to call it. And then when they open their eyes, they're in the olden days and they need to get their breakfast. But breakfast isn't just there waiting for them, they have to go and get it. So outside they go and then they're going to collect some eggs. Olive, do you want to do this bit with me? Okay, we're going to collect some eggs. So we go walk around and you got to pick up your Madu eggs and pop it in the basket. There you go, pick it up, you're bending up and down. Okay, and then we got to go over to the cow because there's no milk just coming out. So let's do a bit of the milk of the cow there. Milk, 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 that's it. So we have to milk the cow. We bring all that back inside. And what are we going to cook it on? There's no stove, so we've got to go out and chop some wood. So everyone picks up their axe and chop some wood there. That's it. Chopping the wood, bring it back. Oh, I don't have a shirt to wear, so I've got to wash it. There's no washing machine, so we've got to wash the clothes in there. Can you pretend you're washing your clothes? Olive, thank you, my little assistant. And then, even though it's a slightly different era, sit down, and when they want to watch TV, shock horror, if they need to change the channel, they got to get up and change the channel and then come back down, and they can't get their heads around that one. Thank you, Olive. Let me go sit back next to Mum. And then they go back to sleep and they wake up in their day-to-day, or their parents' day, we call it. So what happens in their parents' day? You get up, you sit down, you have breakfast, get everything ready, sit back down again, get in the car or the bus, go to work, sit down, come home, do your thing, drive around the kids, and then sit down again because you're exhausted, crash out in front of the couch and binge watch Netflix. So we're sitting, and we're sitting a lot. And over 50% of Australians are classified as sedentary. Same percentage of employed Australians sit down all day. And I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase, sitting is the new smoking. Yeah. So that came out a few years ago because of some research that happened. It was actually some Australian research that showed how many years a certain amount of sitting, or too much sitting, can potentially take off your life. And if you stand and move more, so it's not just standing still, it's also actually, it's more about moving your body, how that can potentially add years onto your life. So what happens when we sit all the time? Well, first of all, in our bodies, hip flexors get really tight, tummy gets weak, your glutes get soft, your spine can become quite inflexible, tight, strained shoulders. All of those things can really contribute to injuries. They make you much more likely to have injuries when parts of your body are weak. Your metabolism also slows, so making you more susceptible to weight gain. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard, which can lead up to a build-up of fatty acids, which can clog your arteries. And you get tired, and therefore you're always having to go over for that second, third cup of coffee, the biscuit jar, because what it does is it slows everything down and puts your body into sleep mode. Things don't have to work as hard. Your brain, your body, everything doesn't work as hard. So what do we do with all this sitting? What I recommend is if you find yourself sitting down in your day, The idea of getting up every half hour or every hour to move, to stretch, to walk, even just to stand and walk on the spot. And if you worked an 8-hour day or you were sitting down for 8 hours, and every half an hour you got up for a couple of minutes, at the end of the day you're going to have moved your body for 30 minutes and more. So I would love to show you a couple of little moves and to demonstrate what happens when you get up and move your body. If there's any of these moves, they're very, very simple. If there's anything I'm doing that you don't want to do, simply sit down, or you might just want to have take a little walk on the spot. Listen to your body. Find what works for you. We're going to stand on up, so get your stuff away. I'm going to turn on some tunes. So yeah, we get it. Can you hear that? So you're just going to start with a little more. How good does that feel? Let's start with a stretch with your arms on up. Yes. And then drop them down. And one more of those. Arms up, stretch. Okay, this first one you're going to do is take your heels both up and both down. If that is too much for you, you just do one heel at a time, yeah? So, double heels there. Beautiful. Take this moment to put your hands on your hips and let that light shine out from your heart and take your chest open. So much in our day we stand there, like that. Computers, babies, kids, shoulders down. We're just feeling this moment to power pose, you call it. Okay, now we're going to walk on the spot. See if you can take a little swing of your arms there. Loosen up through there. This loosens your hip flexors and starts to get your heart rate up. And that strengthens your brain. Also helps you get more energy. Swing those arms. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, we're going to do a little punch now. Yeah, so this is your punch. You take one out, then the other out. And now let your whole body move with that punch. So your rib cage is protected. Watch the person in front of you unless you're really annoyed at them. Let's go faster. Punch it there. That's it. And a bit faster if you can. Yes, get rid of any of that stuff you've got inside of you there. Punch as fast or as slow as you want. Just let it go, and even if you don't have any sort of aggression in you, it's just very nice for your spine, this move. You're going to step, push up there. Step, push up there. Step. Can we do this? We can. Step, push, and reach. Twist through your spine there. Yes, lovely. Okay, great. Now you're going to do a little roll down. You don't have to roll down all the way if you don't want to. Just drop through there. Give your head a little shake, no. And a very, very gentle shake, yes. And then roll on up. And roll your shoulders back. Roll them forward, back, and forward. Let's go for another little march on the spot. Yeah, that's it. And there you go. That's a couple of minutes there. You've been able to move your body, get your heart rate up a little bit. And get your endorphins flowing. We have this amazing little medicine inside of us called endorphins, which is so important for our mental health. 1 in 5 women will have some kind of mental illness in their life. So exercise is something that if you look at Black Dog Institute, Beyond Blue, all those things, exercise is there. Any psychologists or medical professionals, doctors I speak to will always recommend exercise because it's one of the best things you can do when you're not feeling good. But the problem is, when you're not feeling good, it can be the last thing you feel like doing. The thing that is the best thing you can be doing can feel like there is no way that I can go there, that I can do that. And there lies the issue with exercise and mental health. I used to, when my girls especially were little, and I've gotten a bit better at it, I'm not perfect at it, but if I was feeling a strong emotion, so if I was feeling like this frustration and anger, I mean, when I became a mum of 2, I had more anger in me than I had ever experienced before. I couldn't believe what was coming out of my mouth. I was punching brick walls as I was walking up the stairs to where my girls slept, screaming, losing it at my kids. I remember once holding up my eldest daughter and just wanting to shake her, saying, I can't do this anymore. and her looking at me terrified. And never ever would I imagine having a child who would look at me scared. Because what I was doing is I was pushing down, all okay, I'm fine, all good, yes, keep doing that, keep throwing all that, and boom, explosion, all it came out. And one night I was feeling incredibly over it and angry. The girls just would not go to sleep. And I came down to my kitchen. This is a few weeks after I started doing my little workouts there, and feeling all this anger. And normally I had this awful habit of just getting packets of pasta or something, just throwing them to the floor, or getting a knife and stabbing it into a breadboard. I've still got this one knife with the chip off the top of it, and still haven't told my husband what happened. But this time, instead of that, this little voice came into my head saying, move, just move. And so in this state I was in, I started just doing those punches like I was showing you before, and then doing some kicks to the side, which felt really, really good. And what happened was I felt all the emotion I would normally feel, but I felt it rise up in me as I was punching and kicking. And then this crazy thing happened because I felt it subside this little bit and went down a bit, because I've actually had moved my body and moved myself through those strong emotions, rather than my usual suppressed down. I actually let it come out. Motivational speaker Anthony Robbins talks about that changing your state. To be able to change your mood, you need to change your state. And one of the great ways to do that is to move. And it doesn't have to be when you're feeling pissed off or over it. There's so many moments. If you feel like you need to become more calm in a situation, if maybe you are about to lose it or you're getting very anxious, a lovely thing to do is that roll down that I showed you before, just that roll down. Let yourself drop there. Feel the weight of the world drop off your shoulders. Take these nice, big, deep breaths. If you slow down your exhalation, it's impossible for your body to stay in fight or flight mode. It takes you out of that panic. So say you breathe in for 2, and then you breathe out for 4. If you want to try that, breathe in for 2, hold it, and then breathe out for 4. And you just notice what that does to where you're holding all your tension, your stress, anxiety, everything. If you're feeling like you need some courage, if you're about to make a big phone call or have to have a big discussion with someone, this pose here that I showed you before, this power pose, there's a fantastic TED talk by Amy Cuddy, who's a researcher on confidence and how your body relates to the way that you feel. And she's done all this research on the power pose and how effective that is at changing the way you feel about yourself, but how also other people view you as well and how they respond to you. If you're walking along like this because you're not feeling that good, even if you take your shoulders back a few inches, you feel a difference, even a tiny one in your state. All of a sudden, you become this little bit more open to the world rather than closed in here. And even if you don't really feel it, sometimes that can actually just give you that little bit of convincing that you need, that everything's going to be okay. If you're wanting to exercise when you're feeling really down or the black dog's nipping at your heels, like it still often does for me, I'll set myself a little task. So rather than, right, I'm going to go for a 60-minute walk today, it might be I'm going to go around the block. Or it might be I'm just going to go and stand outside and take a couple of deep breaths. The push-ups at the kitchen bench I find is really good. A few months ago I wasn't feeling that great, so I said to myself, right, every night, kitchen bench, 10 push-ups. And this feeling of strength and connection to your body that push-ups bring, even those little ones on the kitchen bench, you breathe in on the way down, breathe out on the way up. And there's something very powerful about setting yourself little goals. And then, of course, always want to seek medical help if you need it. Your doctor, Lifeline, Black Dog Institute, Beyond Blue. There's a lot of resources available to us, so we're incredibly lucky for that. So when you are sitting down at the end of your day and you're exhausted. So, energy, sleep deprivation, feeling tired. That's a lot of us at the end of the day. We've got a lot going on. We're very busy. We've been sitting down a lot. We get more tired. So you sit down on your couch and you crash, and you're about to binge watch Netflix or go for your nice big scroll through Instagram, whatever you're doing. Too late to exercise, right? No. What you can actually do is take a little moment on your couch to connect with your core muscles, for example. So I'll get you to do this one with me if you feel good doing it, and if you don't worry. There's lots of different variations of it, but essentially what you want to do is make sure when you're sitting down doing these little core muscles, you want to have this little scoop under of your hips. And what you'll do is you'll feel that pull your tummy muscles in and take your pressure off your lower back a bit. So your version number one of just connecting with your tummy muscles, with your core, is to lift, to have a little squeeze in your belly button, lift one foot off the floor and drop it down, and then the other one, drop it down. Now if you're feeling that in your back, you might just want to lean back a little bit as well. You can lean against a chair, you can pretend you're on the couch there. Yep, and then what you can do is take a bit more of a pace with that. If you want to, that's your next version up. Otherwise you keep doing the one you're doing, but you'll feel that pretty strong in your tummy muscles right away, yeah? Okay, and then if you've got a pretty strong core, then what you can do is double legs as well. So you want to start with whatever feels good for you. Yeah? So you've got your single one. So if you've got a favourite show, when the titles go at the beginning and at the end of the show, really great little moment to do something like that. I always bring my mum up because she's such a good 2-minute mover, but when she is about to watch the news every night, she'll do her little dips.
Oh, wow.
These are ones, yeah? And that works your triceps, this bit here, quite an underused muscle. And you really can see how, if you did those little ones every night, if that works for your body, or whatever it is, if you did 50 of these ones every night, by the end of the week you really are going to see a big difference in that. So the second thing that Australian Bureau of Statistics state that why Australians don't exercise is, can anyone guess it?
It's too late.
It's too late, yeah, motivation. Steph, you're right, tick, gold star for you. So motivation and exercise can feel incredibly hard to get motivated to do. And there's quite a few reasons for this that I hear and in all the research I've done for the book. So first of all, a lot of us actually don't enjoy exercise. Like the idea of exercise, there you go, look at that face. The exercise face. Like, oh, exercise really just feels like a chore, a bore, a punishment for eating a certain way. And so yeah, it can be like the last thing you want to do because you don't like it. I mean, who wants to do something that you don't like? And even if you go, right, I'm going to do this for 4 weeks, after that, you're probably not going to want to do it anymore anyway. So how do you make exercise something that you maybe love or even just like? I remember I had a client, she was a coaching client, so I coached her on the phone. She was living in the Blue Mountains. She just moved there, she had a baby, she had put on a whole lot of weight that she didn't have when pre-baby, and she found it so hard to get off this 30-something kilograms that she had. So I was coaching her and said, okay, is there a way that you like to move your body? Or is there a way you used to like to exercise or to move? And she said, oh, well, I used to like to jog, but just like a really little shuffle, but that's not going to give me the results that I'm after. I've got to go to this hardcore fitness class where I'm doing these sprints up this hill, and that's going to give me the results. And I said to her, well, so you're going to that class? She goes, oh no, I hate it. I can never get myself to go there. And I said, okay, well, why don't we start with this little jog that you liked to do, this moment that you could get a bit of head space. You used to enjoy doing it, and yes, maybe it's not going to give you the results, but maybe it will. So to make it a whole lot easier for her, because it's something that we don't really like, you want to make it easier to do. So we organised her to have some accountability. So she put on a local Facebook group. She didn't know anyone in the area yet, that she was looking for a jogging partner. So So she found a jogging partner that she could meet up very early however many times a week. She was doing about 3 times a week. Because if you've got someone out there waiting for you at 6 a.m. in the dark and the cold, you're going to go. We're not going to let down that friend. And yet so often we let ourselves down when we say that we're going to do something. And anyway, so she started, I'd get these updates on these texts saying, oh, I'm now running these 10K fun runs. I've lost 10 kilos, I've lost 20, I've lost 30. And she would always say to me on the text, and it's because of that question that you asked me about finding a way to move that I liked to do. If we take away the word exercise and put in the word movement, that sometimes helps. How can you actually get your body moving? It doesn't have to be in this exercise scenario. Maybe you like to golf, to tennis, maybe the idea of doing a bit of yoga, trying some things that you actually find. Dancing is an amazing thing to do, and that doesn't feel like exercise at all. I remember when I had been doing my little workouts while I was going on this slow journey out of the downward spiral I was in, and my eldest daughter said to me, let's have a dance, Mum, and normally if she'd say something like that, I'd make an excuse, I've got to do the dinner, I just didn't feel like it. But this day I said, okay, and I started dancing with my toddler, with my baby on my hip. And I'll never ever forget this feeling of looking them in the eyes in this moment, like I hadn't looked at them for so long. This real connection with them, being in the present moment with them, and feeling this feeling of joy, and dancing in my living room to whatever I have to dance to, Katy Perry or whatever, remains something that I continue to do. And I know that when that little voice in my head says, I don't feel like it, I really don't feel like it, I'm not going to have a dance, that is the moment that I need to do it the most. Because when it comes to motivation, we're all waiting for motivation, but motivation comes from action. Action precedes motivation. If you can take that little bit of action, you're going to feel like doing a little bit more and a little bit more, and you actually feel motivated to do it. So knowing that can be a big signal for yourself that I don't feel like doing it, I don't want to do it, can be the signal of that you actually need to do it the most, and try doing this little tiny thing. Accountability helps with motivation. Finding a way to move that you like helps with motivation. If you are wanting to do morning exercise, my advice would be take the snooze option off if you use your phone as an alarm, you can take your snooze option off. Never ever, or if you've got an alarm, just never ever press snooze. Have your clothes, your shoes, your socks, your undies, every little detail there ready for you so you can get out of bed, just pop it all on and go. Finding a friend or friends to exercise and move with, to go for a walk with, to do a dance class with, whatever it is, can really help. That whole social thing is incredibly good for our mental health and makes us much more likely to do it. All of these little things I'm talking about, as I said, in the moment they can feel like nothing. I think we are incredibly programmed to have the big thing, you know, the all or the nothing, the perfect class, the gym, the way that everything has to look. We want that big thing that's going to transform everything for us. That's certainly what I was waiting for in my rock bottom place, that big answer, the big solution, the magic pill. And yet what I discovered, and have since seen thousands and thousands of other people discover this too, is that it's actually those little things that we do consistently over time that are the powerful things, that are the game changer things, and the things that add up to making this really big difference. So tonight when you're brushing your teeth, I encourage you to pick up your toothbrush, take your legs out wide and do some of these. If that's no good for your body, what is it that you can do? Can you do a little heel raise? Can you do a double heel raise? When you are putting your kettle on, Those heel raises are a great thing to do at your kitchen bench. A few little squats or a few little push-ups. Even if you look at your body and the situation your body is at, injuries, how you feel about it, your fitness level, whatever it is, you can always start somewhere. And you can always start with a small little step that, like it did for me, can lead you to the next step and the next step and the next step, to feeling the way that you want to feel, to having a way that you can cope, and to living the life ultimately that you want to live. And that is certainly my hope for you all here. I'm incredibly grateful for you coming along to listen to this talk. And yes, thank you very much. Thank you.